What's up, everybody? Rattlehead 50222 here, the Starting Reviewer, and today, doing a little something different. I'm breaking off the discography for a moment of Megadeth, and I'm moving into my second pick all-time favorite record by a band, and many can say the quintessential essential thrash metal album of all time. That being Metallica's Master of Puppets. I can agree with that. Let's rewind. Let's go back some. Because I want to pinpoint where Metallica almost... Well, a lot of you will disagree with this and probably have a lot of nasty things to say. But keep in mind, before you get upset, I'm a Metallica fan, first and foremost. I like all the big four, and even the ones that should be in there, over Metallica. But because Metallica being the number one selling thrash metal band of all time, this being my number two metal pick of all time, this record, we're going to talk good about it, and we're going to give you a little backstory. In 1986, this album was released. I was a youngin', only about 7. But even I remember, back then, guys, you got to remember this. A lot of people started out listening to Metallica when the Black Album came out. That's when they got their fan base. I liked Metallica when Injustice for All came out. When I was just old enough to start listening to them, then I discovered Master of Puppets, because I thought the fucking Injustice for All was perfect. The only thing I dislike about it is they turned the bass all the way down, because Cliff Burton has died. They totally say fuck Jason Newsted. But anyways, that's another story. Guys, and when they made this record, you have to remember, this is only record number 3 into the Metallica thing. Nobody knew Metallica, man. That's what everybody don't remember. Metallica wasn't this fucking icon they are now back then. So, you have to remember that. They wasn't the biggest band in the world in 1986. They was not. They started to get their following. I seen them at Cardinal Stadium in Louisville, Kentucky in '88. I was a youngin' with my dad at Cardinal Stadium with Ozzy Osbourne. And they opened for Ozzy, and that was when Ozzy was like, never again. They stole the show. And they did. They put on a hell of a show. My dad didn't even know who Metallica was. So, you know, they come out with the song One. That started their fame. Then the Metallica Black Album came out. Everybody and their mother fucking started, and that's where they went wrong with me. And I'll tell you why here shortly. Everybody started listening to Metallica and was buying their really good shit in reverse. The same thing happened with Countdown to Extinction by Megadeth. They become fans on a album to a true fan is a sellout record, but they buy their shit in reverse, their greatness in reverse, and think, wow. Make sense? Okay, let me move on. I say that because Metallica remembered where they came from on this album. Metallica made every effort in the world to make really good music back then. They made really smart production decisions. They were trying to be the number one band in the world at the time. Why does it every band that hits really good spotlight always fade into the black, and just because even if you're a Metallica fan, you can't tell me you liked Lulu. Every ounce of dignity they got back, coming out with Death Magnetic, which was entirely too long, could have been cut in half, trying to overcompensate on that album is what I think. When you were making albums back then, you were humble. They were humble. They were, hungry to be great. And when they got great, they lost it, in my opinion. And the only reason why they make records now, and I love Metallica, don't get me wrong. If Metallica I will buy every Metallica fucking record that comes out. I may not like it, but I do it because I support the bands that I like. And even though I think there's other bands that belong in the Big Four other than Metallica, the sole premise of Metallica's Big Four thing is because they sold all these records. This one being one of them. 6 times triple platinum in the U.S. and Canada. 6 times triple. I mean, sold a lot of records. Period. And but they didn't sell all these records until the Black Album came out. So, when the Black Album comes out, you have a guy change his voice from his original E-flat or whatever he was singing, change his voice, lighten him up, commercialize him. You got Jason Newsted trying his best to throw in his efforts, kind of trying to fill the shoes of Cliff Burton, which, I mean, you can't fill the shoes of Cliff Burton, you know. You can only put somebody in his place. But when you're with them for that long, you give them respect. And the way they did Jason Newsted at the end, yeah, he left the band. But he told him, basically, your side project is going to fuck this band up. How? You're the biggest band in the world. How can Jason Newsted not even going to sell a % of records that you sell, if that, tarnish your name? I don't know. So, they make the Black Album, and then they continue. And that success, this commercially radio-friendly success, and every band has done it. Even Megadeth has done it. They say, this is what the people want to hear, because they forget about where they came from. They forget about the records that are now going platinum, that are fucking selling millions and millions and millions of copies, because they think that this one sound, the Black Album, spiraled them where they're... I mean, and it did. But when people hear your good shit in reverse, they want to hear that good shit. They don't want to hear this shit that you come out with after the Black Album. And, a lot of people, like I said, you're either going to like me or you're going to hate me. And that's your opinion. But I'm just telling you the facts, folks. This is a buyer of the records of the albums as they progressed. No, I did not buy Master of Puppets when it first came out. I was too young. But I did buy Injustice for All and bought the rest backwards. And then when the Black Album came out, it was just a total letdown. They sold out. It was the day Metallica died to me. There's not a good song on it. Somebody has to say it. Somebody has to step up and say, this shit's mediocre. It's bullshit. You're better than this. And they are, people. Metallica can make a really good effort if they want to, but they choose not to. They make albums to line their pockets now, and that's the way it is. They can give a fuck less if they sell out 100,000 fucking show plus. They only care about the wallets, man. Period. And you can't tell me otherwise because of the decisions they're making. They're not giving a fuck what they put the Metallica brand on now. You can't tell me back in '88 they would have ever said yes to fucking Dude with Lulu. They would have never done that. Never. They were too hungry. And they forgot where they came from. And for that, we're going to move on to Master of Puppets, what I think is Metallica's best effort. What I think is will go down in the history as one of the premier, it already is the premier thrash album of all time, the most inspiring. But then again, a lot of bands make really good records and they hit a little bit of success and they forget where they came from, and they forget that it takes a year to make a record sometimes. It takes, determination and to be the best. That's one thing I can say about Dave Mustaine. He may not have always been the seller of the albums, but that son of a bitch has got every determination in the world. Look how many records he makes. Metallica, again, stop giving a fuck, or they would make records every couple of years instead of every 5. And you can sit here and argue with me and say, well, they don't have to. They're the biggest band in the world. Okay, we all know that. But when you make shit records, to me, if I'm trying to stay the biggest band in the world, I'm going to prove, okay, I'm proving these fuckers wrong, and I'm going to go make this good record and not overcompensate and make songs that are 9 minutes long that sound like their old stuff, that are way too fucking long. It's like they don't know when the song ends. It's like they just stopped trying, guys. And I'm not trying to bash Metallica. Again, I'm a fan of Metallica. I'm just telling you where they went wrong. That being said, this was the last album to feature Cliff Burton. It peaked 29 on the Billboard charts. Again, going back to what I'm saying, they wasn't the big fucking monster band in 86 and 88 that they become in 90 and 91. They was not. So remember this when I'm talking to you. Try to remember that I'm a buyer of the records of the prior stuff before this album, the Black Album, their main album, their big stream album that made them big. Remember that to me it was a letdown when they came out with that bullshit. It was. And that's just my opinion. And everything since has been crap. Death Magnetic was a little bit of shred of dignity. At least they tried, and then they lost every bit of dignity they had when they did Lulu. I'm just not understanding what was they thinking. I'm just not. And a lot of it has to do with Lars. I don't believe James is really so much a part of it, but he's the, you know, what can he say? It's Lars' band. Let's be real. So, all right, guys, this is a really good album, though. Period to end. Fucking killer album. It sold 6 million copies in the States. Fucking, it's won six times platinum in the U.S. The original artwork sold between, they don't have an exact number, but it was $20,000 to $30,000 for the original artwork at auction, Rockefeller auction. The lineup at the time was James Hetfield, Lars Ulrich, Cliff Burton, and Kirk Hammett. Considerably one of the best bass guitarists of our time, Cliff Burton. In my opinion, the guy that almost single-handedly invented headbanging, because nobody did it before him. And really cool. All Music, Kerrang, everybody and their mother gave this really high stars, and they should. It's a really good album. In my opinion, is it better than Rust in Peace? No. Am I saying that because I like Megadeth better than Metallica? No. I'm putting out the straight facts. Rust in Peace is 40 minutes long. Will run through you like a tornado. This one has lasting power, yes. So, they both do. But heavy-wise, I don't know. It's real close, guys. That's why it's number 2. Again, don't get it twisted. I like Metallica just as much as I like the next band. But I'm not a fan of their decision-making in the past few years. In the past decade and a half, really. They haven't done nothing to surprise me. Nothing that seems like they did any kind of effort at all. They just threw something together to line their pockets. And that's what it seems. And, I don't know. It's like, they'll put anybody's expense out to save their own, and I don't know. I don't get it, man. Anyways, moving along, man. We're going to go ahead and get to the tracks, which, again, this is a legendary album. This is their masterpiece. This is Thrash's masterpiece. It's just great. Let's get to it, man. Battery. Extremely good song. Heavy. Just put together, this whole album, again, guys, was put together extremely well. And then, again, this is when they were hungry. This is a point in their lives where they were trying to strive to be the best in the world. You could tell they was wanting to be the best in the world, and they put out music to show it. From Ride the Lightning to Justice for All, they were the best band on the fucking planet. Period. Where'd they go wrong? You tell me. Black Album? Or later on? Black Album. Okay. Master of Puppets, again, you can put that song in and let it's timeless. It just seems like you can't ever put a date on it unless you know when it came out. It's that good. The same can be said for the rest of this album. The thing that should not become, the shame that should not be, my apologies. Welcome Home Sanitarium, again, almost like a thrash ballad, if there is such a thing. Really fucking good lyrics. Everything's really put together really well. Disposable Heroes, just thrashing. Leper Messiah is just, goodness God, I mean, just pounding thrash. Orion instrumental, which, obviously has spawned a tour using the name Orion. It's just a damn shame that half the time they forget what they're playing. I mean, that's how down the drain they've went, guys. They barely know how to play these old songs because they don't put that kind of talent in their new shit. They don't. You can't tell me you listen to Load and Reload and think that's talented music. I mean, my 6-year-old could play shit like that, and I don't even know how to play guitar. It's just simple little music. I'm just being real. And this is out to the biggest thrash band in the world, man. We don't want to hear what you think we want to hear. We want to hear fucking your old shit. What you know we want to hear. Period. Moving along, Damage Incorporated. Now, this is the song that has, the PMRC on the fence back then. Had a few F-bombs, but it didn't have anything else really bad in it. Guys, this album is a fucking thrash icon. 50 years from now, bands will be looking back at this like they look back on the Beatles and go, wow, what they, and they'll try to mimic this sound. Every band's try to do it. A lot of them has failed. Metal's going in a different direction nowadays. A lot of it becomes the fact of bands get confused, and I can see why. You have the best album Metallica's ever made, Peak, when it first came out. That's how unknown they were to 29. Which still had a lot of fans. It peaked 29 on the fucking Billboard charts, but they were still unknown as they are today. So when they make all these really killer, long tracked records that are just, they're determined to be the biggest band in the world, it's like when they get to it, a lot of bands do it. Korn's done it. I mean, who else? I mean, there's so many that's gotten to the top and lost sight of their direction. Look at the last few albums of Korn's made. What the fuck? Look at the last, just, I mean, there's a lot. I mean, Korn's just an example, and forgive me, Korn fans, because I'm a Korn fan myself. But sometimes you got to know when to stop and say, okay. And I can see Metallica taking 5-year breaks if they were putting out good music. Load was so bad. They wrote Reload in about 6 months. It come out like 6 months later. That's how bad Load was. And they knew it. But yet they come out with a part 2. Because it sold. Period. People expected this dynamite old shit. Knowing they didn't put out nothing dynamite. They didn't. Memory Remains. Are you fucking serious? I mean, it's a joke, guys. You Metallica fans, all of us, we need to step up and say shit like this, because us pampering them, telling them they're doing good, ain't helping, man. You're fucking egging them on by continuously buying their bullshit. You know what I'm saying? I haven't bought a record since fucking Saint Anger. I was so pissed off about Saint Anger. I said I won't buy another one. Well, a buddy of mine had Death Magnetic. And I thought, well, some of it, I was rocking. But then you get into like 7 minutes of the song, and you're like, when's it going to end? It's the same shit over and over. It does not know when to end. And when it does end, it feels like they didn't end it right. It's just the production value is really bad. They're making bad decisions now, guys. And some of us need to step up and say shit. I'm outspoken. I'm going to say it. I don't give a fuck how many albums you're still selling, how many shows you're selling out. You're fucking up. Period. If you want to make a name for yourself as far as legacy, you have a legacy now. Stop making music, period. But if you're going to continue making music, make shit we want to hear, man. Not this bullshit garbage that's fucking confusing fans. Like, that's thrash. Man, I ain't made a thrash record since Ain't Justice for All. Not even close. So, for that being said, if you want to call Death Magnetic thrash, okay, well, it kind of is. Then again, it kind of is a long disaster too. If you want to you want to throw that out there. So again, folks, don't beat me up. I love Metallica. I want to see them come back to their original form and be hungry again. For that, Rattlehead50222, the Stuttering Reviewer, out of here. Follow me on Twitter at Rattlehead50222. I follow everybody back. Find me on Facebook at Metal Videos 365. Post anything you want. Rattlehead50222, the Stuttering Reviewer, out of here.